Welcome back. Bruce Porter joins us now for this week's Dollars and Cents segment. Bruce, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
I hope you had good holidays.
I did. I had great
Bruce.
holidays.
Very good.
Looking
But you know, there are people who are going, right about now because they're getting the bills for the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of credit card debt gets put in your book, so to speak.
A lot of holiday spending blues right now.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, people come off the holidays, they had a good time, they eat, drink, and be merry for the holidays, and then all of a sudden we start thinking, oh, I got to realize I just spent a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Now what am I going to do?
That was fun.
So,
Let's just put it on the card.
well, you know, the best way is just you realize what you've done. Now you just attack it. You've developed a game plan.
Okay.
The one thing about 2016 that we can make different from 2015, right out of the gate, start a game plan of some kind. First item on the agenda, get rid of that holiday debt as soon as you can. Now, we've got a list of things. You can develop a budget, especially if you don't have a budget, time to develop one. Get a handle on your income, get a handle on your current expenditures, because you're going to have some excess money to retire that debt.
Right.
So now we don't want to ignore those bills. We want to be on the offensive. The worst thing you can do is just say, well, I'll make a minimum payment for a couple of months, then I'll get my tax return, things like that.
2017.
Well, 6 months from now, we're still going to be dealing with it, and when you really ought to just jump on it. Well, first thing, I think, don't get tempted by these deals that retailers come out in January. Now, you know, if you've just come off a holiday spending spree, don't continue. Get a handle on what you've just done before you go look for more bargains for socks or shirts you may or may not need. So that's, you know, we don't want to get into that trap of just continuing to spend through the holidays into January, because now it's winter. Now, you know, we don't want to carry on those bad habits, you might say. If we consider balance transfers, like credit card offers are coming left and right.
Yes, they will be.
You've got to watch the fine print. Nothing wrong with transferring to a zero interest for a year or whatever the case may be. Just watch your fine print. Don't get backed into a corner to where you're going to have a balloon interest payment. Make sure that if you do something like that, you have a plan in place to retire that
Pay
debt
that thing off
during that period.
Yeah.
The bottom line, the best is yet to come in 2016. If we just develop a plan right out of the gate and make 2016 financially better than 2015 was, everybody will feel good going into the holidays again in 10 more months.
Right.
Is a simple thing to watch for is pay the ones also that have the highest interest rates.
Oh, absolutely. If you got a couple of credit cards, figure out which one's got the worst benefit or worst rate or feature, and retire that as soon as possible. Don't double up your payments on low interest cards when you got one hanging out there with a bigger rate.
And different things work for different people. Sometimes people like that card that they can pay off every month and not have any, you know, or they can get rewards or
absolutely,
you know, things
well,
towards
and
other
rewards
products.
can be used for debt reduction as well. I just recently realized that you can actually apply some reward points in cash. May not be a significant amount, but apply that backwards into your payment.
It's a good way to spend the money.
It's a good use of that money, especially if you've got a balance that you're trying to get rid of.
Do you find that people make the mistake this time of year of thinking they can borrow themselves out of debt?
Yeah, and that's not a good idea. You never want to borrow money to pay off debt that you've already got. I mean, all you're doing, you might get a 3-year or 5-year note. You're going to extend that debt and that problem over that period of time. You might have a less of a payment, but that's not solving your problem. The problem at hand is develop a plan of what you've got to work with, your income, and develop a plan to get out of that debt problem as soon as possible.
If somebody writes it down, and some people don't like to take the time, but if you actually see it, it can help you to realize where you're at.
Absolutely. Writing down your budget, writing down your problem, and addressing it, organizing your thoughts, put it all on a legal, just write it down, and then get a handle on it, a game plan.
Right.
It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't necessarily have to get assistance to do that. Use some common sense, get a handle on that debt. But never be afraid to call and ask. Ask an expert anytime you want a little bit of guidance. There's people like me that are willing to just say, hey, let me help you out, and we'll help you figure it out.
You know, to be ready, maybe you may have to start the year with a little belt tightening. It's just that simple.
Absolutely. You know, and you've got a little reprieve if you normally get a tax refund. You can say, okay, I normally get $1,000 back. I'm going to plan to use that.